Welcome back, our dear viewers. As we have promised at the beginning of our program for today, that we are going to talk about the investment environment in Egypt, how to attract investors, and especially if we are going to talk here about investors, we are going to talk about the small and medium size companies, the SMEs and the startups who are representing a real boost to the economy, how to help the young entrepreneurs in order to be a real wheel in the development of the economy and the investment. Of course, the entrepreneurship is becoming a real boom and a real booster to the wheel of the Egyptian economy. To shed more light on that, we are very much delighted to have our dear guest in the studio, Mr. Assem Emara. He is an investment associate. Good morning, Mr. Assem.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Assem. First, can you tell our audience about the importance of innovation and why should we support it?
Sure. So there are different definitions about innovation, and,
Yes.
and how we define innovation is that it's the value creation that results in a value creation in a certain market, in a certain problem space that makes alternative solutions obsolete. So you could think about a product or a service that when it was created, it made the whole alternatives obsolete. And why it's important to support innovation, it's because we want to shape a future where we have very solid understanding of where we want to go.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this is the tool. If done right, it has huge beneficial impact on the environment, on the social aspects as well.
Yes.
So it's very important to support innovation.
Yes. If we are talking now, Mr. Assem, about the innovation, which is, of course, a real boom now in the field of economy and investment, and the young entrepreneurs and the innovative ideas, how can we give a boost and a support to the young entrepreneurs in order to succeed in their companies or the small startups that they are establishing? And we did actually see many success stories and many young entrepreneurs actually who did reach the international arena. So how can we give the real support to the young entrepreneur at the different stages, not only for incubation and getting innovative ideas, but in order to give them the fund and the proper marketing? How do you see the different stages here?
Sure. So we believe that every startup is different, and at each stage, every startup has a different set of needs. And how we do it is basically we have a wide variety of services that we provide to startups and we provide to companies in order to help them scale and unlock their growth potential. So first of all, we run and operate an accelerator program, which is very simply a rigorous training program for a period of 5 months, where we have startups, young entrepreneurs, bright entrepreneurs who are very passionate about some product, who are very passionate about solving specific real problem, and we provide them with a hand-tailored, a unique service package that includes training, includes mentorship, includes office space, include brand and technology assistance and so on.
Different aspects here.
Yes, definitely. So we keep an eye on the different needs that each startup has, and we're able to, as per the different stages of each startup, provide this tailored help or this tailored assistance that each startup needs.
So to what extent investment in Egyptian innovation is growing stronger?
So there are some indicators. We could think about the number of startups that have been created through the past year, which has been increasing dramatically. Also, we could think about the amount of venture capital fund allocated into the Egyptian innovation market as well, which has been increasing. At the same time, or simultaneously, this happens with a strong presence of universities. So we have one of the top-ranked universities in MENA region in Africa as well. We have a huge amount of technology transformation aspects going from universities to the private sector as well. So all of these indicators signify a healthier investment landscape in Egypt and contribute to more mature investment landscape, and at the same time more mature startups getting more mature help as well.
Yes. If we are talking about the startups here, and if we start from the incubating phase. We did see a lot of incubators now in universities and private, and maybe through the Ministry of Investment. To what extent we need more to be done in the later stage, as your company is doing, and your specialization here, to give them a boost after the phase of incubation here, and how to stay successful, how to market well for the products, how can we have a follow-up here after the incubating phase?
Definitely, this is a very important aspect in the startup's survival journey, and how we have to think about it is that we provide customized services for these startups as well, based on their stages.
Yes.
So what we have done is that we have created actually a direct equity fund or investment fund that invests directly in startups, giving direct equity investments as well. And at this point, we're able to help the startups grow and even enter foreign markets or gain additional access to finance or additional access to capital as well.
So what are the factors that contribute to healthier and stronger investments in Egyptian innovations and entrepreneurs?
Well, there are many factors actually that contribute to that. One is the political interest in advancing the whole startup ecosystem forward. And luckily, we've been part of a consortium that consists of many government players, private sector, research institutes, universities, in order to help the startups grow and try to provide them with a complete service package that cover the range from their start until the end.
Yes. Mr. Assem, allow me here to ask about the assessment of the market. Because we are talking here about innovation, we are talking about startups, we are talking about small and medium enterprises. How the young investors are capable of assessing the market and the market needs in order to have a successful model or a successful project? Because sometimes we do have a flaw, maybe if someone succeeded in fintech, so the number of innovative idea or projects regarding fintech does increase, or environmental or whatsoever. So how can we do a real assessment to the market needs here?
This is a very interesting question actually, because these factors are very important and instrumental to investors in order to try to see whether this business proposition or whether this startup is worthwhile investing in and investing your time and effort in or not.
Indeed.
So I would say it's a variety of factors actually, and I would say it starts with the team. So the investor wants to see a team that is really strong, that has complementary skill set, that they have diverse skill set that complement each other, and they have relevant and direct experience in the product they're trying to create or in the market they're trying to service.
Yes.
Second of all, investors like to see a startup working in a market that is big and that's growing as well. So it has annual growth rate that is very sufficient and very promising to the startup's growth and instrumental to the startup's growth as well.
Yes.
Thirdly, investors like to see a unique product, a defensible product that leverages technology and really uses technology that solves a real problem and a real need or pain that the customer has.
Yes.
So what do we need to do to support innovation?
Well, we need to do many things actually, and it depends on the stage of the innovation.
Yes.
On the top of my head, I would say that there has to be a lot of more interest than going on currently on the seed stage innovations and startups as well, because this is the part where you have most of the risk, and this is the stage where entrepreneurs really need help and really need assistance in order to prove their product, in order to come up with a product that is ready, that is scalable, and might be forwarded to the market or might be presented to the market at a later stage.
Yes. Mr. Assem, how do you assess here the investment law? And of course, there will be a new law actually again regarding the SMEs. So to what extent the current law and the law that is going to be ratified could help actually to increase the percentage of investment and the investment opportunities in the country?
During the past couple of years, we've actually been seeing an increase in the amount of funding allocated towards Egyptian startups and companies. And I would say we still have a long way to go, but at the same time, it's really beginning to be easier for investors to deploy capital. It's beginning to be a little bit easier for startups to get domiciled or created and so on. So helping startups and helping investors meet and connect sort of creates a healthier environment for the ecosystem to grow and for the investor to allocate and put money in the startups.
So tell us about entrepreneurs and how do you select them?
Well, we have a very, I would say, selective and competitive selection process. And we start with a team, basically. So we like to look for a team that is strong, that is diverse, that has huge amount of experience in a certain vertical or certain market. Part of our criteria as well, I would say, is impact. So we keep a special consideration for what kind of impact this startup is creating. So we'd like to look at the product impact for the startup, at the operational impact for the startup. And also, as much as we can, we try to keep an eye out for balanced gender representation and women empowerment. So within our team or the startups that we look for, we always try to look for lady entrepreneurs who are ready to change and to create a startup and get successful.
Yes. Since you have mentioned, Mr. Assem, women empowerment, which is, of course, of a great significance to the Egyptian administration as well, to what extent you are seeing here a success story, since you are dealing with innovation, startups, and you are an accelerator. So to what extent here we are seeing success stories for female entrepreneurs?
Definitely. Since the beginning of last year, we've been operating in 3 different locations in Egypt. So we've been operating in Cairo, we've been operating in Alexandria and Suez in partnerships with many government entities and universities and so on. And we've been able to see, especially outside of the capital, a huge presence of female entrepreneurs. And one example I would like to go through or mention here is a lady entrepreneur who has been able to disrupt the market for dairy produce, and she has been able, she's an industrial engineer, and she has been able to create conveyor lines and create sort of machines and tools to help small farmers produce their dairy and produce dairy products in a very fragmented and decentralized manner, and thus decreasing their reliance on imported tools and equipment and machineries, which have been very cost ineffective and very expensive for them to be able to purchase or import, and thus this was a very, very serious problem for them, and she helped them get over it and decrease their price, increase their value proposition.
Really succeed after that.
Yes, yes, definitely, yes.
Great.
So, Mr. Assem, we'll go for a short break, dear viewers, and we'll be back with this interesting interview, so stay tuned.
دقيقة واحدة تفرق كتير، والوقت دايما تحدي. في زمن قياسي مصر طورت منظومة النقل وأضافت وجددت 97 محطة سكة حديد، وطورت 335 مزلقان، 212 عربة قطار تم شرائها، وتم التعاقد على 1300 عربة قطار لدعم منظومة السكة الحديد، وتم توريد 24 قطار جديد مكيف لمترو الأنفاق. وفي مجال النقل البحري تم تطوير موانئ الغردقة وسفاجة لتتسع ل 2 مليون راكب سنوياً، وتطوير ميناء نويبع، وتم تعميق المجرى الملاحي لموانئ دمياط والإسكندرية لاستيعاب كل السفن العملاقة. مصر دايماً على الطريق الصحيح وهتوصل بسرعة. بلغ حجم استثمارات المشروعات خلال 6 سنوات حتى يونيو 2020 253 مليار جنيه. مصر، التحدي والإنجاز.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. Continuing our interview here with Mr. Assem Emara. Mr. Assem, from your point of view, what are the major challenges still facing the young entrepreneurs and young investors, and how can we overcome these challenges?
There are a couple of challenges actually on the side of the startups
Yes.
and entrepreneurs. First off, there is a mismatch or miscommunication between them and the rest of the ecosystem, and they spend usually a lot of time trying to figure out what do investors want, what should our startup be like, what should we focus on, what should we pursue, and so on. So there still need to be more guidance, more assistance to startups in that regard, and at the same time, on the side of investors, I would say the most important problem an investor would face is trying to find an investment-ready startup, a startup that really understands the market, that really has real technology that is embedded into a product or into a service,
Yeah.
and a startup that understands what do they want to reach, where are they right now, and how are they going to be there in the future.
So, Mr. Assem, what are your tips and advice to young entrepreneurs?
Well, yeah. So first of all, I would say focus. More often than not, we have really good entrepreneurs, bright calibers. They have really good product, but they're thinking of a million things to do in the same time, which is usually very difficult and very hard to reach. So first of all, entrepreneurs have to start small but think big, and secure small, recurrent, consistent achievements as well. And following that methodology or that approach gets them to where they want.
Yes.
So
To what extent here we do need investors to enter the market of entrepreneurs? I mean here big investors in order to maybe cooperate with the young company, the small companies, the young entrepreneurs, in order to develop and expand the scale. To what extent you are working on that area?
So it depends, because the bigger the investment tickets get, the more you need qualified startups, investment-ready startups, to be able to acquire that capital and actually utilize it to grow and get successful. And at the end of the day, the most important thing that the investor think about is getting his or her money back.
Of course.
So there has to be a bit of realignment in that regard or in that respect. Otherwise, what usually happens is that we have big investors that deal with intermediaries in order to provide capital in a very risk-adjusted way to the entrepreneurs and to the startups.
Indeed.
So can you tell us some success stories for young entrepreneurs in order to give hope to our audience?
Definitely. So one of the startups we have worked with, which is very interesting for me because they use machine learning, they use artificial intelligence to do a sentient analysis of a text or of a brand, for example. So if you have a brand that you want to know how people are thinking about, what is being said on the internet about it, how people are perceiving this brand. So what they have been able to do is that they created an algorithm that actually analyzes and creates a detailed reports and analytics about how is the brand being perceived. And they've been able to attract follow-up funding and to attract other opportunities as well and expand to the regional market and to expand to the international market.
Mr. Assem, can we say here that the current need of the market, if a young entrepreneur is thinking of having an innovative idea, what are the fields of innovation that is booming nowadays? Are we talking here about environmental things or fintech, purchasing or media? What are the fields here that are more successful or of more need concerning the market?
Yes. So actually this is very interesting because the fact is that no one agrees on which sector is getting the most heat and different people have different perceptions about this. But I would say, of course, digitalization is playing a huge important role in the market right now. So you have startups trying to transform, revolutionize or digitize existing sectors. You have increased importance on financial services, authentication services and fintech, if we can call it that way. And also sustainable resources. Many people actually now or currently are focusing on investing in companies that have a serious environmental and social impact, which is very important because at InnoVentures we also focus about that. And during our accelerator program, which is open for applications currently, we really focus on having serious startup that is willing to expand in a scalable manner and exponentially, and then helping them through different service packages in order to unlock their potential, unlock their growth.
So tell us more about the importance of small and medium enterprises, and to what extent they are important for the progress and boosting the economy.
So SMEs, or small and medium enterprises, are extremely important, I would say, first because of the employment factor. So usually SMEs have a serious employment impact or effect on the economy. SMEs at the same time, if we could classify SMEs and startups, I would say that startup is an entity or organization that is designed to grow very fast, to grow exponentially, while an SME is an entity that has a consistent or linear phase of growth.
Yes. To what extent, Mr. Assem, we can say that the market here is seeing real competitiveness regarding the field of innovation and entrepreneurship?
From the side of the startups, we've been seeing a surge or an increase in the number of startups, which is a double-edged weapon, if you say so. So first of all, we have many people interested. We have increased awareness about the importance of innovation, the importance of technology and entrepreneurship in leveraging the economic situation and leveraging socioeconomic factors as well. And at the same time, this has been a learning experience for everybody to see startups, to interact with them and to learn. And actually, this is what we do during the accelerator program, because we design a meticulously and a unique blend of theoretical and practical knowledge, training, leveraging on mentors and industry experts. At the same time, it's a unique opportunity for entrepreneurs to learn from themselves and to interact with each other and benefit from their experiences as well.
Yes, indeed.
Finally, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Assem, Emara Investment Associate. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Our dear viewers will go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to resume the segments of the breakfast show for today, so stay tuned.
The reign of Shepseskaf, last king of the 4th dynasty, didn't last for long, for it's possible that he ruled